How's it going, you guys? Jump Skills here. Today I'm going to be going over my Hunter's wish list. In particular, I'm going to be talking more about BM Hunters in this topic. Evokers just got a new spec in 10.1.5, and this is my wish list for either 10.1.7 or 10.2. I believe Hunters, especially BM Hunters, needs a whole new rework, especially in these categories that I'm going to mention in this video. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get on with the video. At the top of my list, I'm going to say a raid-wide DPS buff. If you look at mages, shamans, and evokers that can also provide lust, they all bring either a buff or something unique to a Mythic Plus or raid team. And I feel like it's not fair for hunters to be the only ones without a raid buff. That's just not going to bring any interest to bring our class into any PVE content. Number 2 on the list, more PVE utilities. Binding Shot, Wailing Arrow, Tar Trap, and Freezing Trap is good for a PvP situation, but in a PvE situation is not good compared to a shaman, even to a mage, and even to an evoker. Number 3 on the list, a pet that's all for one. So what I mean by that is a pet that can do lust and an extra defensive ability. We need a pet that can do all for one, because switching between a lust and an extra defensive pet in a Mythic Plus context especially is very annoying. Number 4 on the list, Call of the Wild. That ability needs to be buffed in my opinion, because we have no DPS cooldowns, and that can easily be one of the best DPS cooldowns if tuned correctly. Number 5 on the list, when we feign death, your pets feign death as well. Number 6 on the list, and I know this is likely not going to happen because it's going to be very overpowered in PvP, but if you can turtle and DPS at the same time, that would be amazing. I know in Shadowlands and Torghast you are able to get an animal power and you could actually do that ability. Number 7 on the list, a Beast Cleave can last around 10 to 11 seconds. Next on the list is Pet Aggro and Mythic Plus. Nothing drives me more insane when ads just go after my pets and they just kill them. And then I have to go ahead and re-erect my pet. It drives me insane. The reason why I did this wish list is because in 10.1.5, evokers have a new spec that they brought into the game. And that just makes things a little bit more complicated for hunters especially. In a raiding situation, in particular in Mythic raiding, it makes us even more attractive. In Mythic Plus, it makes it even harder to pug and find groups, especially if you're a key pusher. When I logged in today on reset day of the release of 10.1.5, I was looking at Raider.io, and there's people already looking for this new evoker spec. And when I logged in for a Mythic Plus pug, because that's all I do is pug high keys, people are already looking for that new evoker spec because of reasons that I don't know why, to be honest with you. It's kind of insane. It hasn't even been a week yet since this patch released, and people are looking for this particular spec / class. So now what does that do for hunters? In Mythic raiding, let's start with Mythic raiding. There's a 20-man roster for Mythic raiding. 2 of them goes to tanks, 4 of them goes to healers, the rest goes to DPS. So there's 14 DPS slots available. So you might as well fill them up with the people that bring DPS buffs or any utilities into a Mythic raiding situation. So warriors, priests, DKs, demon hunters, druids, mage, paladins, evokers, warlocks, monks, shamans. You'll get to all those other classes before you invite just one hunter that brings absolutely nothing to your raid group. And there's some Mythic raiding groups that rather just bring 2 warlocks, 2 mages, 2 druids. It just depends on the tuning before they bring 1 hunter into their raid group. So Blizzard needs to go ahead and let us bring some type of utility or a DPS buff into a raiding group, and it should be the Mastery DPS buff in my opinion. Now let's talk about the Mythic Plus situation. If you look at all the other classes that provide lust, mages, evokers, and shamans, they bring something, especially a DPS raid-wide buff or anything beneficial to a group that helps them time the key more successfully. Now, when you take that into consideration, why is Hunters the only ones that don't bring anything to a Mythic Plus 5-man group? The only way to fix this situation is to just give us a DPS raid-wide buff. I get complaints and messages all the time on how do you get invited into Mythic Plus keys, high keys, low keys. These people want this class and this class only, and it's hard for Hunters just to get invited into a key. Like, what are the tricks and bounds of getting into a Mythic Plus Pug key? And you guys know me, I pug all my keys. I don't have a group. I don't really want a group, but people ask me all the time, how do you get in? My trick is playing at a really late time, so all those other classes that these people are looking for, especially that do lust, they got to settle for Hunters. But I know everyone can't play that late at night, so I think Blizzard should just give Hunters a mastery raid wide buff and everything will be equal. And my second biggest call for a change is the pet situation. The pet that does lust and the pet that does a second defensive should all be together. No other lust classes does that. Imagine if a mage had to summon a water element just to do lust. Imagine a shaman had to summon that rock golem thing just to do lust. Imagine a evoker had to summon a mini dragon or something just to do lust. And you have to switch that out just for your extra defensive. I believe that should change, and it's got to go. I'm not a fan of Hunters being the only class doing lust with one pet, and they got to switch it over for a second defensive just to survive in any situation. I don't believe that's right. Now, personally, I would not be shocked if there is no Hunter rework or any BM Hunter rework at all, or any of these wish lists made it onto the list. One of the reasons why I believe that is because Hunters, especially BM Hunters, is one of, if not the most popular class/spec in the game. I just did a poll recently, and BM Hunters blew out the competition in this poll, and I have a strong belief that BM Hunter is probably going to win this most popular WoW spec in the game. I want to give a huge shout out to Lux After Dark. Recently, I had to leave the raiding guild due to IRL situation. The raiding times for my Pacific time was just too much for me to handle. Back then, when I was living in Europe, it was a lot easier for me to make that raid time commitment because I could just stay up really late and just play and raid. The time zone didn't really matter to me, but living in the Pacific West Coast time is just very difficult. So now I'm in the Illidan raiding guild, and it's more suited for my time zone. Before I get on out of here, I want to give a huge shout out to Lux After Dark, my former raiding guild for my Beast Mastery Hunter. So long story short, there was some IRL situation where I couldn't make the raid times no longer realistic for me because I had a lot of other things going on. Just being a part of an Eastern raiding team living in the Pacific time zone is just very difficult for me right now. So I want to give a huge shout out to those guys. Those guys have made me to the player that I am today. They allowed me to be in their raid team, allowed me to play the class that I wanted to play from the start, and then asked me to switch. They just asked me to make sure I'm prepared, and they asked me to make sure that I know my class from the inside out. And just doing that research on my Hunter, it made me the player that I am today because I'm constantly researching on my BM Hunter, just making sure I can min-max and make sure that I am always ahead of the curve when it comes to my Hunter. So I want to give a huge shout out to the raid guild, the guild master. I want to give a huge shout out to that whole entire raid team because they made me the player that I am today, and I would not be Jump Skills without those guys. So I want to give a huge shout out to those guys, and if they ever need anything and if they're listening to this video, they know I got their back. But that's everything though. This is my Hunter's wish list. If you guys have any other comments, feedback, just let me know in the comments down below. If you like the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps support the channel. Follow me on Twitch. I'm usually streaming there. At night most of the times. And let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.